need to be happy, maybe. So those days I have a lot of luck because actually I can live with my sound because I started to tour with this this big thing we're gonna understand together today. And so this thing make me able to do music out of any object I can find. So I brought some, but maybe you will give me some others if you have any idea. And so that's how I started to tour under the name of Jacques, that is my name, and to invent and like composed sound in front of the crowd. So this is what I came in Buenos Aires for, and I'm gonna do this for you right now. But not only this, I think we're gonna like talk about how to do it, and if you have any question after, I will answer to it. So do I start right now? Or?
I will translate a little. I will
Yeah.
make voy a hacer un resumen de lo que dijo. ¿Todos entendieron? ¿Alguno necesita que lo traduzca? Traduzco un poquito. Es Jacques, tiene 24 años. Hace música desde instrumentos, si alguno tiene, desde elementos, grabando elementos, si alguno tiene algo que quiere que grabe o samplee, lo puede traer. Y básicamente viaja por el mundo haciendo esto con todos los bártulos, cositas que va comprando, encontrando acá y allá, y va grabando, sampleando y haciendo encima. Así que va a hacer una demostración y después explica técnicamente de qué se trata, y yo voy a ir resumiendo pequeño para que el que no entiende inglés termine de entenderlo. Have fun.
Yeah. I still have my soul in the cab right now. I have to arrive. So I think maybe 2 years ago I started to do house music. I don't know if we really call it house, but like it was a fact. I was in my house doing music and alone. Before that I had a band like with guitars and bass and drums, and everything went wrong, and maybe it's a shame I never succeeded with my band. But so I started to do some music alone at my place with a crack of Ableton Live. Actually, I have the official version of Ableton Live right now, and I'm really happy to have it. So I discovered how I could like do my own universe, my imaginative universe into one sound. And at the end, I wasn't happy because I was like, I did a sound, I'm happy with this sound, but then I have to play it live, and I don't know how to play it live because it's not the same thing like to produce a sound in a studio and then to play it live in front of people. And that's how I started to think that maybe it could be easier to produce sound in front of people. So those two things would be just one. And that's how I started to think about that and think about a setup that is that make me able to do that. And I took all those machines to do what I call like phono shows in France. Phono shows, it means like sono y cosas, like things, like sound of things. And one day I discovered this thing we're gonna see together. That is, I was really happy the day I discovered that. It's just a contact mic. So I think you all know what it is. It's just a mic, actually. But I didn't know it existed before I knew it existed. And this thing is just maybe the main part of my, the particularity of my setup. And this thing make me able to like take sound from like scissors, like this, or maybe like elastic stuff, or some Bob the Sponge kind of stuff. So this is maybe the, like the receptive part of my setup, and then there's other parts. So I'm gonna start by explaining all this. Basically, what you can see here looks complicated, but it's not, because I don't think I'm able to do something complicated, actually. I just wanted to be, everything is like at one step of me, so I can do anything without getting into a menu or without like thinking about like getting into any machines. Or everything has to stay simple, so I can do anything I want just with one step. And so it's divided in two parts. That is the, as you know, like in Ableton Live, we have like audio tracks, and we have also MIDI tracks. Everybody knows that, I think, here. It sometimes I'm doing master classes in front of people that doesn't know that, so I always like try to know at who I'm talking about. I'm talking with. So there's a audio part, and then there's a MIDI part. So you can see I have two fly cases. There's one fly cases for the audio part and one fly case for the MIDI part. So if we start by looking at this audio part, this fly case, we can see there is a mixer here, and there's 3 loopers. So my mixer is not like a normal mixer that is used to mix tracks. It's just like I use it. Just I have every source of my sound, and I just use this mixer to make me able to use it without plug-in and unplug-in and plug-in and changing the. So I never play 2 sounds at the same time, actually. I just like use it like this. Like I will unmute one track that I use at the moment I unmute it, and then after I mute it back, and then later in the show I will unmute another track and use only this track. And this goes into a headphone thing. You know what we use to spread a signal into multiple headphones for when we have friends. And so this thing split the signal into 3 headphone, like stereo things, that goes into those 3 loopers. It's electro-harmonics loopers. I don't know if we can see them here. It's like maybe my favorite looper, and that's why I bought 3 of them. Actually, I have 5 of them at my place. I really enjoy what they allow to do. And those 3 loopers are like loop every audio sources that I use in my mixer. Those 3 loopers are clocked on the MIDI part of my setup. So this MIDI part is made like mainly a MacBook Pro with Ableton Live on it. At a certain point of my path, I thought that I could do a live show this way without a computer into it, and I finally decided not to do it because I think Ableton Live allows me to do a lot of things that I should like get like a whole studio on stage if I wanted to do it without. So this Ableton Live is the master clock of those 3 loopers that are sourced by this mixer. In my Ableton Live, I have mapped everything for it to be controlled by this. Music! It was the first time we hear some notes. This keyboard. So this keyboard is just like a USB cable, goes into this, and this APC MK2 I have to control my Ableton Live. And so the particularity of my setup of my live show is that my Ableton Live at the beginning of my concert is almost empty. So I don't know where we can see it. So this is the beginning of my show. So you can imagine like I arrive on stage, like there is like 200 or 2,000 people in front of me, and they say, "Hello, I'm gonna do a live show right now," and there's only like one kick like this. So this is how I begin my show. Actually, I mapped something for my kick to be as big as I want. It's only like a release mapping, you know. So I have one knob that make my kick goes bigger, or I'm really cool. I could do it like for 2 hours, just like hello. So this is how my show started. And actually I'm gonna start with that. I can talk here. Oh yeah, hello. It's me again. So yeah, it works. So still working. So when a show starts, like, I enjoy to start my shows with my piezo mic and with some, you know, random stuff like this. So now we have some random stuff. I brought some thing from China. Thank you for applauding me. This is an example of what I do when I do live, when I perform live. But I think an important thing to say is that we are not into a live situation. We are in a masterclass situation, and improvisation is really something of the moment. And for a 1 hour show I do, for me there is like 1 or 2 highlights moments that I really enjoy. Like, I think the whole thing I do is to get all the condition to get into this kind of moment. And I think, what I want to say is that like having all this is not like the purpose of it. Like the purpose of it is just like to touch at a certain moment as the quality, I don't know how to say it, but the quality of a song that somebody else could have done, like the song that I'm listening to that are inspiring me. Yes, so that's what I'm trying to get into.
Impresionante. Él arma todo esto para llegar a esos momentos. En un show de 1 hora va como generando y creando esto. ¿Todos entendieron lo que explicó al principio? De que tiene una parte que es para audio y una parte que es para MIDI y que usa el live y que empiezan desde un proyecto vacío. Tiene micrófonos de contacto y demás. Eso lo entendieron todos. Me quedé con miedo de que alguno no lo entienda. Vamos a dilatar un poquitito las clases. Va a contar un poco. ¿Alguno tiene alguna pregunta que quiera hacer? Pregunta. Are you using the Ableton looper?
So what I do is that for the audio part, I decided not to use the Ableton Live looper, and I don't know why. It's just like this. Like, I like those loopers, and I really enjoy like touching their buttons and like having fun with it. And for the whole MIDI part, I use the Ableton Live looper. So you cannot see on Ableton all the sound that I do. You only can see the MIDI part that contain like all the synths and only the kick. You have to know that for the beat part of the song, I don't allow myself to use any sample that are not sampled live, and I use only the kicks for that, because I cannot like record a kick live. I mean, I could, but I should like come with my kick, and it should be complicated. So I have on my sampler, on the sampler of Ableton Live, I have some presets of MIDI instruments that I play and that I record. So for example, I use this bass. And I also use this one. Fuck, it's dead. Yes. So I have some presets of it, and I can like play it. The second instrument was this one. And a very important thing to say about that is that all my instruments are not like not just only one preset of a typical sound. All my instruments are a panel of sound. Like, all my sound goes from this sound to this sound with some knobs I mapped. It's really important because I think that music has to be always moving, as life is, and so for that, at the moment I recorded something, at this moment I want it to be different. And so I have all my knobs to make it like evolve during the... So the sound, all my sound, we can listen to all the sound I presets if you want, yeah?
Let me translate. No usa el looper del live, tiene estas looperas que son de audio, no usa nada de looper de MIDI, no sabe por qué. Una de las restricciones que tiene es que todos los sonidos que usa son grabados en el momento, menos el bombo. El bombo, podría grabar un bombo, dijo, pero tengo que llevar un bombo enorme. Y tiene instrumentos musicales que dispara desde esta controladora MIDI, que son presets, pero no son simples presets, sino que pueden pasar de un lugar al otro. Entonces con un knob, lo que cree es que la música tiene que estar en constante movimiento, entonces con los knobs lo que hace es que el sonido se vaya modulando. Me preguntó si podemos escuchar todos los sonidos que tiene. Y yeah, let's listen to
Yeah,
the...
so for that, yeah. So, as you can see, in the audio part, I can use whatever I want, thanks to mics. And in the MIDI part, there is something that is not improvised, that is the setting of my sound. And I have on my APC 8 tracks, so that's why I decided to use only those 8 tracks, because I don't want, like, as I told you before, I don't want to like move into menus and have some complicated things in the moment. So I just like use those 8 tracks. The 2 first tracks are some kick tracks. The first track is this one, and I use it only for one clip of it. It's just this clip is the clip that just does like the boom, boom, boom. So it's a kick. You can see just on each time. I don't have to move that. And this clip is sent into an instrument rack. The instrument rack is set for me to have some different. You can see here, I have some different kicks that are muted and unmuted as I want, thanks to the mapping of my APC. So, for example, I can start the show with this kick, boom, boom, and then I will unmute the second kick, and then after I will unmute another kick. So all the kicks are played but muted. So I just have to mute and unmute it. So I have different levels during my show, and then after like this, you know, this is the subby one. So all those kicks are always getting played but muted. The second
Tiene un drum rack con... él usa 8 canales del live para no tener que moverse. Como tiene una PC40, usa solo esos 8 canales. Y en uno de los canales tiene bombos que puede mutear y desmutear. Y los fue agregando de a poco. Entonces a lo largo del show van sonando todos. Según la intensidad que quiera, se va como acrecentando.
So the second track is exactly the same, but the difference is that I use it to play the kicks I want. So I can use the first track as a metronome, and then the second one, I use it as a... as the kick that will like change the normal kick, you know, as a second kick. All those tracks, just to say, all those 2 tracks are, all the kick that are played on those 2 tracks are set for their release to be changeable thanks to 2 different knobs. So for example, I can do like, if I unmute all the big kicks, I will have the first track playing this, boom, 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 and then I will have the second track playing this. And then at a certain moment, if I want, I can do like, and then goes back to. The only difference is that I let the release at the long at the first and short at the second, and then I invert this. So this is a way for me to get into like breaks and drops. Yes.
El primero lo usa como metrónomo, el segundo lo puede tocar y lo puede ir programando para generar como variaciones dentro del bombo, y de los 2 tiene para la posibilidad de manejar el release. Entonces a veces suena uno más corto que el otro, y ese es el modo en el que va generando como las caídas y las subidas, ¿sí? Jugando entre 2 canales con bombos y sus releases.
Okay, and then after I have the kick, I have the bass track, So this bass track is an instrument track also. I have, I think I have 3 or 4 different bass, and I can like make it change just with one knob of my, one button of my APC. I will turn the sound from this to this to this, just by pressing a button that is mapped on this just here. And you know, if you can see this thing here on the instrument track, yeah, it's a chain. Yeah, it's chain. Yeah. So I just like set the chain to change each time I press the same button. It's just scrolling in a way. It's scrolling between all those instruments. And as I told you before, I like that all my sound can be changed very precisely. So that's why I have one knob here on my APC. That is the bass change knob. And this, depending on the sound I'm on at the moment, it will change different things. So this same knob for this sound is a cutoff. And for this sound, it's the release. And for this sound, is the chorus of the second modular frequency of FM synth of operator. So,
desde uno de los racks tiene muchos sonidos de bajo que va cambiando con uno de los botones de la APC, y desde uno de los knobs lo va modulando. Volvió a contarnos que para él el sonido tiene que tener movimiento y tiene que ser cambiante, entonces a medida que va programando también va variando los sonidos del bajo y modulándolo con esos knobs, que cambia el chorus del bajo básicamente.
So before we continue the question, I just wanted to tell that all the other tracks of my Ableton Live are made the same way. It's always like 2, 3, or 4 instruments into an instrument rack that I can scroll into via the chain mapping of one button of my APC, one button for each track. And so if we listen to the 4, it goes like this. Then it turns into a violin, very kitsch one, never used without reverb. So I mapped also the reverb thing with the send. It's really easy to do. And then the other tracks are like this. That goes into this with the delay on because of my jam of 10 minutes ago. Then I have this. I really enjoy this sound because it doesn't have any tone, so I can just like playing like some stuff like this. I like this one because it can turn into this. It's really cool during the show. Like there's always a moment when I goes like boom boom. So everybody thinks that they are into bubble, but actually they are into like a metal box. So this is a cool effect. I have this one also. The Aphex Twin one, you know, the selected ambient works. I really enjoy this album. And I have also this one. To make people like get into a nightmare. This is the more dreamy part. And then I have the gong, the vibra gong. To get into some Flying Lotus stuff. And all those sounds are, most of them, only presets of Ableton Live. I just choose the variable I will change during the show, but I don't really change it. Like, they are cool with that. Each time I'm listening to the presets of Ableton Live, I'm always feeling like all those sounds are not cool. I have to find some other plugins, or I have to get some other samples, but actually, into the context, they get really cool. It's just, you need to make it get into the context. They will feel beautiful, and they will not feel like all alone, because at the moment you're choosing them, you're listening to them all alone, but at the end it will not be alone in the sound. So I think we have to consider that when we choose our presets.
En el resto de los canales tiene los instrumentos que fue mostrando y modulando, son todos instrumentos del Ableton Live que él va eligiendo, y cuando los elige los piensa en un contexto, no por sí solos, que a veces cuando los escucha solo no le dicen nada, pero que sí se los imagina dentro de un contexto, y cuando los mete dentro de un contexto van. Así que tenemos que ir a clase, tenemos un lugar para una o dos preguntas, así que si alguno tiene una recontraduda que se quiere sacar, adelante. Dudas, preguntas. The whole set is like improvisation.
So is it a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Actually, the non-improvised part is the object I choose and the presets I set. This is what's not improvised. We can imagine a live set in which all the instruments are brought by people, and all the presets are made by some guys on Ableton Live. Maybe in a few versions of Ableton Live, like some people could work on another computer on my projects during I'm doing my live show. So he could like make like a magic box, brrr, ding, you choose this preset, and I'm like, okay, so if I have this preset, the song goes like this. And then, okay, I have this object, so I do this. And this would be totally improvised set, I think. So that's why my set is not improvised. But I think most of the time when we're asking me if it's improvised or not, I would answer yes, because we're talking about the clips, and what I play with those instruments is totally, totally messy, and totally like, if you listen to the recording of my show, you will feel that I don't know where I go, you know? And sometimes there is like 10 minutes that are like, oh, great. It goes like a stair, and we're getting into a really pure feeling. And then poof, it goes back to something that is more like research, you know? And a way for me sometimes to get into something new when I'm turning around nothing during my shows, I just open the radio, and I have it here. So I always have a radio here, and if I don't have any inspiration, I can like just like, and then goes on get this looped and go back on it, like find the bass, or depends.
¿Alguno tiene otra pregunta? Yo tengo... Ay, me cagaste la mía. Dale, Nico. Para la transmisión preguntó si este siempre es su setup o si tiene uno reducido.
I would say that this is the reduced setup. Actually, it doesn't, you know, when you are playing into a rock and roll band and you are 4 guys with 4 amps and drums and stuff, this is a heavy setup. This is easy. It's not like a USB key, but I mean, I think it allows to do some stuff. I think it's worth it, you know. And I could have a reduced setup, but I would arrive on stage and be like, okay, I could do better with my big setup, and so it wouldn't be a good feeling. Actually, I plan to have a bigger setup with another looper like to have 4 loopers. And what else? Maybe some other instruments like bass. I usually have a guitar with so I have another like pedal board here with a guitar. And what else I could have? Yeah, an hydrophone. You know what's it's to record some things underwater. So I could have like an aquarium or with some hydrophone into it and like brr, 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 some stuff like this. And usually I also have I have this that can make some brr, brr, stuff like this. I brought this also because it can do some cool sounds. You have a tone into it, dum dum. So when a sound have a tone, I'm happy. And I also have this one. That is a way also like to pick some rhythm out of nothing. It's like this. But it's really funny because actually when you get something looped, like you can easily find any like some groove into it, you know. And I could even record without, if I record it without listening to the kick, you know, the reference, rhythm reference, I'm sure I could. And then you put some reverb on it. And this is both. So I think you can find some loops everywhere, and I don't want to get about this question. I don't want to get a little setup. I'd rather get paid more to bring some more stuff.
Bueno, resumidamente quiere hacerlo más grande. Impresionante. Bueno, thank you for everything.
Yeah.
This was amazing, really inspiring. So un aplauso.
Thank you.
You will stay. Si alguien quiere hacer una pregunta, they can ask you questions like privately, so they go to class.
Yeah, if you want to see some stuff.
Para los que están en internet y en sus casas, o también los que se quieren quedar acá, tenemos la sorpresiva visita de los Italo Bros que acaban de editar recientemente por Moon Harbor y tenemos el placer de que van a poner unos disquitos, así que hoy doble visita internacional. Los italianos Italo Bros nos regalan un poco de música. Estoy muy contento de recibirlos a todos. Bueno, gracias chicos.
Chao.